My boyfriend slammed on the brakes so hard that I was thrown into the locked seatbelt in response to me commenting on his driving. How to address? My 26 female, boyfriend 28 male of 3.5 years and I were driving down a main road towards a red light. He was accelerating into the red light, so I said, "Why are you accelerating? It's red." In response to this comment, he slammed on the brakes so hard that the car screeched and I was thrown forward. The locked seatbelt caught me. I was not injured by this, but it did scare me. Afterwards, when I spoke to him about it, he said that I made him really mad with my driving comment, especially since I had told him not to comment on my own driving the day before, and that we should agree not to comment on each other's driving. I don't think that's totally unreasonable, but I also don't think that his act of slamming on the brakes was appropriate. I'm concerned that he thinks that it was appropriate. How to address this with him? In the comments, BadKnees24 says, "Dating is an audition for the rest of your life. You're not locked in here. He proved that his immediate and thoughtless reaction when he's angry with you is to punish you. And who cares if you get hurt? Take this information and use it wisely. And if your car got rear-ended because of his actions, it's your problem, not his. There's no way that I'm letting someone drive who is so overly emotional that they're going to cause an accident because I tell them that the light is red. I don't even understand why he was so mad. Was he planning on just running the red light and he was mad because she stopped him? Or did he not see the red light and he was mad because it embarrassed him when she told him? Either way, that's a dangerous man." Aussie Alter Ego says, "His immediate response to a criticism from you was to physically punish you. He did it deliberately and would do it again. He doesn't see that there is anything wrong with his reaction. Think long and hard about if this is the sort of relationship that you want to be in, because you can't change him. He would rather put your life at risk than be wrong. I dated a guy who did stuff like this. If he was angry, he would drive too fast, take curves too tight, slam on the brakes, etc. It was a manual, so it was really easy to jerk around. He did it because he wanted to hurt me and scare me. It became pretty emblematic of how he handled his anger and frustration. He was emotionally immature and never got better." While 3.5 years is a fairly good chunk of time to invest into someone, you're not tied to them for life, and you shouldn't fall victim to the sunk cost fallacy. It is okay to break up with him over this. Even if this is one-off behavior, this is escalation. This is abuse. Putting your car at risk and putting both of your lives at risk for a nothing burger is not acceptable. You shouldn't have to walk on eggshells with your partner, and you shouldn't have to walk on eggshells to avoid them endangering your life. That's not okay, and he's a piece of shit for doing that. A psychotic piece of shit. He has an issue with expressing his anger in a healthy way. He put you guys in danger. What does it matter if you made him mad? Does making someone mad give them full permission to put your life at danger and be an idiot? No, absolutely not. Back up to the post, there is an edit. "Thanks to everyone for your comments. I don't think I can respond to all of it at this stage, but I'll try and answer some of the questions here. The car is my car. I own it, but I let him drive it. I usually push back on letting him drive it at all when I'm with him because I think he doesn't treat the car as well as I would like. The comments from him on my driving are about me driving too slow and hesitating. I was in a scary car accident a few years ago, and I've been a very nervous and careful driver since then. I had asked him to stop commenting on my driving because I felt like he was nagging me all day about it. The specific instance where I said to stop was because I was hesitating at the traffic circle and was giving too much space for people to go through ahead of me. The comment that caused him to hit the brakes was my first comment of the car ride. We had literally just gotten in the car and it was the first light. Still, we had had some tension and arguments that week leading up to it about other things, and I think he was a little annoyed with me already when we got in the car. I won't pretend that I've not made him mad and could have tried harder to avoid that, but I felt that the reaction in slamming the brakes was very extreme. I hear what you're all saying. This confirms what I think I already knew the brake slamming was about. It's hard to imagine a situation where that can be seen as reasonable or safe. He has never done anything else physical with me aside from the car incident, though he does have an explosive temper. I've seen him get physical with other things. He's punched a hole in our wall once over a video game, and he smacks cars when we're out running and he sees cars not stop properly at lights. I would say that he hasn't lost his temper with me much, but when he has, I found it a bit freaky because he adopts a really intense, teeth clenched, fists clenched sort of thing. He's slammed a fist on the table a few times. Again, never has actually done anything physical. Also, to clarify, he was not slamming on the brakes because of the red light. We were still 50-ish feet from the line where you stop for the light. It was definitely in response to my comment, and he said that it was afterwards when he explained that he slammed on the brakes because he was mad. I will look into the resources everyone sent and think about this. I'm feeling like I need to end it, particularly after reading what everyone has said. Thank you. I appreciate all your thoughts and advice. And now, onto the update, 1 week later. Thank you to everyone who commented. It was a little rough being told by literally hundreds of people how bad of a situation this was. I think it was the wake-up call that I needed though. I was having a really hard time seeing the situation clearly. I knew his behavior was wrong, but I didn't have the language for what I was experiencing and didn't know what to do. Well, since the post, I filled in some friends and relatives on the situation. Everyone agreed that his behavior was completely unacceptable. Everyone said he either needed some serious therapy and anger management, or we needed to break up. On Friday, I tried to ask him about the anger issues to see if he may be willing to seek help for it. He was extremely dismissive of it all. He told me that I was blowing things out of proportion, and even laughed at me when I suggested his aggression was a little scary. That was the last straw for me. Last night, I told him that I thought we should break up. What followed was an agonizing and painful 2 hours of crying and holding each other. He pleaded with me to stay, promised that he would be better for me, asked for therapy, basically everything that I've been wanting to hear from him for months, if not years. I couldn't trust it though. I ended up taking my dog and going to a hotel, where I'll be for a couple of days while we think about logistics of breaking up. It has been so incredibly hard, but I'm feeling like I made the right decision. Several people expressed concern for me in my original post, so I wanted to update you all and let you know that I'm okay and that I left. I'm not able to completely go no contact currently because of our shared living situation and our dog, but I'm taking steps to break away. Thank you again to everyone for the feedback and affirmation. In the comments, Otaku-san says, he was only willing to change after you broke up with him. If you had stayed, he would have been a little bit better for a little while and then gone back to the way that he was. You made the right choice. She literally asked him without any strings attached, and he laughed at her. That was his authentic reaction, and if he had put in 1 to 2 months of effort if she stayed, he would have reverted back to his authentic self. If someone doesn't want to change, then they won't. I'm proud of you for choosing to put your and your dog's safety first. May the next step of your journey be as pleasant and healing as possible. I hope you've got your important documents with you. Everything else may need to be written off as a loss. At the very least, see if you can get your friends to accompany you to collect the rest of your stuff, or even handle the handoff for you. Or consider calling the non-emergency police hotline to see if someone can come with you. Glad you're out though. Now stay that way. And OP says, thank you. I did go grab my documents. I do hope that things will be okay when I go back, but better to be safe for sure. Edits, go back to sort out our shared things. I will reach out to friends to come with me. Yeah, those very much did sound like crocodile tears. Like yeah, as the previous commenter said, he laughed when you told him that he needs to change. He enjoys knowing that he scares you. Like, that's terrible. That is not an acceptable thing for him to do. Take the advice of everyone here and keep yourself as safe as possible. Oh my god. They always say the most dangerous time is when you're leaving, so take that to heart as well. All the best, OP. Thank you for the story, and good luck going forward with everything. Our next post is by user BudgetJaguar1990, and it's titled, Am I the asshole for refusing to attend my sister's wedding because she wants to repurpose my wedding dress? I, 28 female, got married last year in a small but beautiful ceremony. My husband and I spent months planning every detail, and the highlight for me was my wedding dress. I saved up for years to buy this dress. It was my dream dress. It's this beautiful lace, A-line gown with intricate beadwork and a long train. I felt like a princess and still get emotional just thinking about it. Fast forward to now, my sister, 26 female, is engaged, and her wedding is coming up in 6 months. She recently came over to our place to chat about wedding plans. At one point, she casually mentioned that she would love to borrow my dress. She thinks it'd be cute to repurpose it, maybe by shortening the skirt or even dyeing it a different color so that it's unique to her. I was taken aback. I told her that I wasn't comfortable with her altering my dress, especially since it has a lot of sentimental value to me. She got upset and said that I was being selfish because she wanted to save money on her wedding and family should support each other. When I stood my ground, she accused me of not caring about her big day and stormed out. My parents later called me and said that I was breaking her heart by refusing to share. They said that since I'm married and am done with the dress, it shouldn't be a big deal. But it is a big deal to me. I want to keep my dress as it is. They suggested that I just let her have her way to avoid family drama, but honestly, I feel like it's my dress and my decision. Now my sister says that she won't feel comfortable with me at her wedding unless I show my support by letting her use the dress. I don't want to miss her wedding, but I also don't want to give in to something that I'm not comfortable with. Am I the asshole for refusing to let her repurpose my wedding dress and considering not attending the wedding? In the comments, Porky McRib says, "Not the asshole. You don't just get to decide to claim somebody else's sentimental property, let alone decide to hack it up and change colors. I would refuse to go under any circumstances. Also, no one's allowed to dictate what is or isn't a big deal to you. That pisses me off so much. OP, I'm guessing your golden child sister has always bullied you and enlisted your parents to back up her manipulative behavior. You are married now, and it's time to stop being a doormat to your former family. Former, because you and your husband are a family now, and you two come first. You have a right to refuse and tell your cheap-ass sister to buy her own dress. And book a romantic weekend away with your husband for the date of the wedding. Your sister doesn't care about you anyway, only getting what she wants. Stand in front of a mirror and practice saying no with a smile. It is very freeing. Honestly, I'd book the weekend away right now. If sister changes her mind, she can just tell her she already had plans for that weekend and be done with it. And bring the dress with you. Vow renewal in the dress, lots of photos, post them. Just saying. In our culture, where siblings are even more close, you still don't share your wedding dresses even if you are poor and can't afford. You'd rather buy a cheap one than expect one from a former bride. Not the asshole. Your sister is being selfish and you need to stand your ground. If she loved you, she wouldn't blackmail you and put in conditions. Not the asshole. Wedding dresses are incredibly important, OP, and, it's unreasonable for her to demand to alter it or take it from you just so that she can save money. The emotional blackmailing being like, give it over or don't even come to my wedding, that's not cool, that is not on. It's sad that your entire family stands behind the golden child, but yeah, that's just people sometimes. Sometimes people just suck, huh? They see inequality in front of their face and they choose to allow it to continue when they have the power to do something about it. I would say this should be a case of not your circus, not your monkeys. Unfortunately, they currently are your monkeys, but you can decide to walk away from the circus. So I urge you to do that, not the asshole. And now, onto the update 3 months later. Well folks, buckle up because this situation went from a soap opera to a full-blown telenovela. So after my last post, I took everyone's advice and locked my dress away in a safe place. My sister continued guilt-tripping me. My parents doubled down on calling me selfish, and I continued standing my ground. Then, a week ago, the dress went missing. My childhood spidey senses tingled, and sure enough, my mum accidentally let it slip that my sister had borrowed it. Borrowed, as in stole. I was furious. I immediately drove to my parents' house, and there it was. My effin' dream dress, laid out on the dining table like some sort of sacrificial lamb, with fabric samples and scissors nearby. I lost it. I grabbed the dress, stormed out, and on my way home, I got a text from my sister. "If you take that dress, don't bother coming to my wedding." Oh, game on. I went home, poured myself a big glass of wine, and started thinking. Then, like a vengeful rom-com protagonist, I had the most petty, most diabolical idea ever. I booked a spa weekend for my husband and me on the same day as her wedding. Not just any spa, a luxury, 5-star, champagne-filled getaway. And then I posted about it on social media with the caption, "So grateful to be spending this weekend with the love of my life, celebrating the best decision I ever made, my wedding. Wishing everyone a day as joyful as ours was." She went ballistic, blowing up my phone, screaming in texts, calling me a jealous, bitter bitch for ruining her big day. Our parents begged me to apologize, saying my sister was inconsolable, but I told them, "Oh, so now it's a big deal when someone's special moment is ruined? Funny how that works." And let me tell you, I've never sipped mimosas more victoriously than I ever did that weekend. Now, my sister still isn't talking to me. My parents are disappointed, and I'm still in possession of my wedding dress. And honestly, I've never been happier. Not the asshole, and I regret nothing. Our next post is by user WideTrip8392, and it's titled, "Am I the asshole here for refusing to talk to my ex after everything that happened? I, 34 male, am struggling with whether I'm in the wrong for refusing to talk to my ex Sarah, 29 female, not her real name. There is a lot of history here, and I'll do my best to explain everything clearly. In mid-2022, I met Sarah at work, and we hit it off immediately. I fell for her quickly, and it didn't take long before we started dating. However, early in our relationship, Sarah broke up with me over something minor. And to make matters worse, she made a scene in front of everyone at work. I was devastated, but didn't want to leave my job at first. Eventually, I realized I still had feelings for her, and seeing her every day became too painful. That's when I decided to quit and find a new job. We lived close to each other, so we bumped into each other frequently over the next few months. We started talking again, but even though I still had feelings for her, I couldn't bring myself to consider getting back together. What she had done had hurt me deeply. After a couple of months, she told me she regretted breaking up with me over something so minor. She admitted that doing it in front of everyone was wrong, and that she had been thinking about it ever since. She seemed genuinely remorseful, and I could see that she meant it. Feeling that her apology was sincere, I asked if she wanted to give our relationship another try. She agreed, and by early 2023, we were officially back together. 1 year later, things were going great. We talked about marriage and building a future together, which made me feel ready to take the next step. I decided to surprise her with a proposal and started working extra hours to save for a house so that we could marry not long after. I didn't tell her why I was working so much because I wanted it to be a complete surprise. But then out of nowhere, she asked for a break. I was blindsided, and when I asked why, she refused to explain. Around the same time, I noticed she had been talking non-stop about a new guy at her workplace, but suddenly, she stopped mentioning him altogether, which made me suspicious. Confused and hurt, I reached out to one of my close friends, Emily, not her real name, who, along with her boyfriend, still worked at the same place as Sarah. I vented to Emily about what was going on and asked if she knew anything. She said she didn't because she worked in a different department, but she promised to ask around. A few days later, Emily got back to me. She told me that Sarah had been feeling like I was distant lately, especially with me working extra hours and not going out much. Emily said some of Sarah's colleagues had been encouraging her to take a break, claiming that I wasn't treating her well and wasn't as invested in the relationship. On top of that, they were trying to match her up with a new guy at work, saying they would make a better pair. I told Emily about my plans to propose and buy a house for Sarah and I. That was the reason that I'd been working so much. I wanted to surprise her with something big. After about 2 weeks, Sarah called me and asked to meet up. I agreed, but I told her up front that I needed an explanation for why she wanted a break before we could discuss anything else. She brought up how distant I had seemed, saying that it made her feel like I wasn't as invested in the relationship anymore. I told her that if she had just talked to me about it, she would have known that there was a reason for my behavior, but now it didn't matter anymore. Then she mentioned the new guy at her workplace. I said his name before she could, and she looked surprised, asking me how I knew. I told her I wasn't an idiot. I'd noticed how she suddenly stopped talking about him after bringing him up all the time. She swore that she had never cheated on me. I replied that looking for someone better at the first sign of trouble could be considered cheating by some. At that point, I told her that I didn't want to hear whatever else she had to say. Whether or not she wanted to get back together didn't matter. I was breaking up with her regardless. The breakup deeply hurt me. I couldn't bear staying in the same place, so I asked my company for a transfer and used the money that I'd saved for the proposal to start over in a new city. While talking to Emily, the friend that I had vented to before, she apologized to me. She admitted that she slipped up and told Sarah about my plans to propose and to buy a house. Emily said Sarah broke down crying after hearing that. I appreciated Emily's honesty, but it didn't change what had happened. By mid-December last year, I returned to my hometown to spend Christmas and New Year's with my family. Some friends wanted to organize a party to get everyone together, since many of us, myself included, had moved away and were only visiting for the holidays. Sarah was invited too. We barely interacted that night, just a quick hi in passing. At one point, I glanced at her and saw her smiling while chatting with a group of women. That smile brought back so many memories. I realized that seeing her smile still made me feel the same way that I did the first time I saw it. I thought to myself, how screwed up am I that I still feel this way? Despite those lingering feelings, I was still sad and deeply hurt by how things had ended. Looking back, I also started to blame myself. I should have paid more attention to how she was feeling. I could have told her about the extra work and why I was doing it. Maybe things would have turned out differently. Later that evening, one of my friends mentioned that Sarah's relationship with a guy from her work had only lasted a couple of months. After the holidays, I planned to return to the city where I now lived. My vacation ended on January 6th, so I decided to leave on Friday. That way, I would have Saturday to sort everything out at home and to prepare for the week ahead, with Sunday to relax before going back to work. Before I left, one of my friends from back home called me. He said he had a favor to ask on behalf of someone else and warned me that I wouldn't like it. I could already feel my stomach sinking. Then he told me that it was Sarah. She was moving to the same city where I lived to work at her relative's company, and she needed a ride, and he asked if I could take her. I didn't even think about it before I said no. The idea of being stuck in a car with her for hours was too much to bear. It would have been painfully awkward, just like the party, and I wasn't ready to put myself through that. He told me that Sarah and I needed to talk, but I wasn't having any of it. I went back home, and last week, I went for a run and stopped to rest a little in a park when I heard a familiar voice say, "Hi," and it was Sarah. She tried to start a conversation by asking how I was and mentioning that we didn't get a chance to talk at the party, but I cut her off, saying that I didn't want to talk to her. She told me not to be like that we needed to have a conversation, but I said no. She asked how I could still resent her after almost a year and everything that we had been through. But I told her that it wasn't resentment. I was very honest. I told her that thinking about her, talking about her, or even seeing her still hurts a lot, and that is why I couldn't talk to her. She said that was exactly why we needed to talk. I didn't see the point though, and I just walked away. Since then, Sarah has tried to approach me twice more, and I've shut her down both times. Some of my friends think that I'm being too harsh and that I should talk to her for closure. Others say that it's not okay to torture her over what happened forever. But that's not what this is about. I don't have any resentment or negative feelings towards her anymore. I even recognize now that I share some of the blame. But it still hurts. I can't talk to her because it's like reopening an old wound that never fully healed. So am I the asshole for refusing to talk to her? In the comments, UsedAd507 says, "Some people might say that you need closure, but it seems like you've already processed a lot of the situation, and talking to her could just bring up more pain. You don't owe her anything, especially when it's affecting your well-being. You've already made it clear how you feel, and you are setting boundaries, which is important for healing." OP says, "That's what I think, but I don't know. Sometimes I'm not so sure. The idea of needing to talk to get closure is bullshit. You can get closure on your own or with a therapist. This is not worth it." Additional information from OP after reading comments. "Thank you all for your advice. I just want to explain one thing better. My friends are not calling me or messaging me saying that I should talk to her. That's just the opinion of some of them when the subject was brought up." Another commenter says, "I don't think you're an asshole, but I do think you resent her more than you're willing to admit and haven't actually worked through it internally yet." And OP says, "You might be right. Sometimes I think I'm totally over it, but then I realize it still haunts me." Another commenter says, "Moving to your city, wanting a ride there where you're trapped in the car with her for hours, ignoring your rejections and being persistent? Those are not the actions of someone who wants closure to move on. That is someone trying to wiggle their way back into your good graces." And OP says, "Good point." And a final commenter says, "Once it was a mistake, twice was a lesson, and a third time is you being stupid. That's like watching the same movie but expecting a different ending. Don't do it to yourself." And OP says, "There won't be a third time. I was already sure about not going back to her, and you guys' comments are helping me make up my mind about not talking to her." I'm on the same boat here. I don't think it's worth going back to her. It is very much like watching a movie and expecting a different ending the third time through. That is some major bullshit. Your friends perpetuating this stereotype? Not good. I don't know if they have your best interests at heart here. If you don't want to fix it, it don't gotta be fixed. Maybe you have a chat with those friends and be like, "Leave me alone. It is what it is, and it's not changing. Stop pressuring me to get back with her. I don't appreciate it, and I don't appreciate you guys for doing that." Something like that, OP, but yeah, you're not the asshole at all. And now, onto the update, 6 days later. Hey everyone, I wanted to give an update and thank you all for your input. I took the time to read through every comment, and while I didn't respond to all of them, it was only because I didn't have anything to add. I'm truly grateful for everyone who shared their thoughts. It has been incredibly helpful. After reading everything and thinking it through, I've decided to stick to my decision not to talk to Sarah. Something I forgot to mention in my original post, though I did tell a few commenters, is that I blocked her everywhere after we broke up the second time. Over the last few days, it seems like her persistence has started to backfire. Some of our mutual friends, including the ones who initially told me that I should talk to her, have become frustrated with her constant attempts to contact me. Apparently, they've started turning on her because of it. 3 days ago, Emily, the friend that I vented to back then, made a post on social media about stalkers. She didn't name Sarah, but a lot of people picked up on what she meant. I've also seen several comments on my original post suggesting that Sarah might have been stalking me. Her job in the same city and her coincidental appearance at the park all line up with that theory. For what it's worth, I know her uncle owns a company here, so maybe that is really why she moved, but honestly, it's not my problem, and I'm not going to look into it. Things have been quieter. Friends have dropped the subject, and Sarah hasn't tried to reach out again. That is until yesterday. I watched the UFC event with some co-workers. When it ended, I was heading out to my car when my phone rang. It was one of our mutual friends. She said she had been talking to Sarah and asked if she could pass along a message. I sighed, but told her to make it quick. The message was simple. Sarah said she understands why I don't want to talk to her. She promised she wouldn't try to reach out again, but added that she still thinks that we need to talk. She said that the door is open if I ever want to. I told my friend that I didn't have a message to pass back and asked her not to bring up Sarah again in our conversations. If what Sarah said is true, it's a relief, but I'm not holding my breath. I wouldn't be surprised if she tries something else. Maybe she thinks giving me space will make me go back to her, but it won't. That chapter of my life is closed. Right now, I just want to focus on myself. I probably won't be dating anyone anytime soon. If there's one thing I've learned, it's that I need to get to know people better before jumping into a relationship. I've also been thinking about how loosely I use the word friend. That is another part of my life that I need to rethink. Some of the people that I've called friends have proven that they don't have my best interests at heart. A few people suggested therapy in the comments, and I'll admit, it is something I've been considering. For now, I'm giving myself time to heal on my own. But if I still don't feel right after a while, I will look into it. Thanks again to everyone who took the time to comment. Your advice has been a huge help in sorting this all out. In the comments, good for you for sticking to your boundaries. It sounds like you're taking positive steps for yourself. And OP says, yes, just moving forward instead of thinking about the past. Well, it sounds like you're doing well and moving on. Keep focusing on yourself and enjoying what you have. If you feel you need counseling, do it when you're ready. Good luck. And OP replies, I think now people around me understand my situation and what I truly need. That will help a lot. Another commenter says, this is exactly why monkey branching is a terrible dating practice. It's cheating with extra steps. That's why she keeps pushing. She knows what she did, just like she knows what she lost. Yet, ironically, she's too naive to understand that even if y'all got back together, you don't look at her the same. That's totally understandable. And OP replies, you're right. It would not be the same. And a final commenter says, good for you with holding to your boundaries. The moment she wasn't getting the amount of attention she wanted, she sought out a co-worker to monkey branch to. It was cheating. She wasn't remorseful as she began a relationship with that guy. All she wants now is to act like she didn't cheat on you and rekindle your relationship. She's already proven that she will cheat with whoever shows her attention. That's not someone to be in a relationship with. Have you not dated since the breakup? Personally, that helped me get over my ex-wife who cheated. It's been a year, and there is someone special out there for you. Not every woman is like your ex. Good luck. And OP says, I have dated other women since the breakup, just nothing serious. And look at this, a rare example of someone that just sticks up to their convictions and doesn't give the wronging party a chance. Thank you, OP, for showing some sanity in this world. I love that for you. I hope others will read this story, hear this story, and take your actions as an example of what they should do in their own life and not give their cheating ex a third chance. Come on, guys. Have a gaycation instead of giving your cheating ex a third chance. It's a much better idea. Anyway, guys, that's where I'm going to end today's episode. I do hope you enjoyed. If you did, let me know what you thought of it in the comments down below, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.